How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crumb. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good, my friend. How about yourself?
Can't complain, sir. Mike, where can we find you on Twitter?
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
Unfortunately, Brendan couldn't be here this week, but make sure to follow him on Twitter at Brendan_Smith26. I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. We are just 1 week away from the NFL draft and from Mike's Red Baron Pizza payoff. As excited as I am about the NFL draft being this close, that does mean that this will be our final episode of Building the Cowboys for this season. Thankfully, we're going out with a bang tonight. Our guest tonight is King of the Fatties. He's never seen a movie, and you can find him on 105.3 The Fan Monday through Friday from 7 to 11. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Blake Elliot to the show. Blake, how are you?
Wow, what an intro. I appreciate that. I'm doing a lot better after that intro. I feel great. I already had pasta in my belly, but I'm feeling even better. I'm feeling hungry.
Are you a cream sauce guy, tomato sauce guy, or where are you at on that?
I like vodka sauce. Today I went for the Alfredo, black truffle, and sausage. So that was today. But give me a good mix. Give me like a vodka sauce or just mixing both sauces. I like switching it up.
Are you a hater of the Olive Garden, or do you appreciate the classics?
Oh, no, I'm very much a hater of the Olive Garden. I don't know if you want to start up the pod all adversarial, but we can go that way. Olive Garden, Subway, both highly overrated. Or I wouldn't say Subway's overrated. Subway's just not good. Olive Garden is, everyone starts somewhere. I would just say if you think Olive Garden is a solid Italian option, branch yourself out. Look for some mom and pop shops. Ask around. Maybe go on Reddit, Twitter, Yelp. Just don't go to Olive Garden.
I have a story to tell you after this, Blake. After this, Blake, I'll tell you a story about Olive Garden story that's good.
Hopefully, I didn't ruin any sponsors. Y'all aren't sponsored by Olive Garden, are y'all?
I would not allow it.
We'll take one for sure.
Okay.
Give us an Italian restaurant recommendation, Blake.
Okay. I'm gonna give you one hot spot that it's called Di Nonno's or Di Nonna. It's in Louisville. And if you know, that is the waiters, the waitresses, the bartenders, the manager, all rude, but almost it works, if that makes sense. It's almost the Waffle House kind of vibe where they're rude, but the food is amazing. The vibes are amazing. So, and I don't mean they're like actually rude. They're not like yelling at you, but they're just like, hey, here's your food. Bye, and I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Where do you stand on frozen pizza?
I love it. That I am a big believer in frozen pizza. It's good to have a clutch. I wouldn't say, hey, have 12 frozen pizzas sitting around. But when I go to the grocery store, when I do my monthly restock, it's nice to have one frozen pizza when you and the lady or you and the boys, whatever it may be, you don't feel like doing too much. You want a nice meal that's going to feed a good amount of people. Throw in a frozen pizza and you're set.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna ask this correctly because we're starting off bad here.
Let's hear
Would you put a frozen pizza in your top 5 pizzas of all time?
I don't know if it's a crazy take. It might be number 5. I'm trying to think.
My guy.
Someone may have to remind me. I don't remember what Tostitos, like the basic one that everyone got in college. I think it's like red and white looking. It has no other packaging. It falls apart when you take it out. It's like $4, $3, but it's amazing. It's never failed me.
Exactly, man. Just for the memories, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it might be number 5. I'm not mad at that take.
Oh, thank you, Blake. I appreciate that. Finally,
I'm sorry, Mike.
I'm bougie. I know I am.
Blake, man, I can't thank you enough for your time, brother. Where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
Yeah, so everyone on the fan makes fun of my Twitter handle, and rightfully so. It is Blake Live, which is fine, I think, but it does have 2 underscores. The person without the underscores has not been active since 2012, so Elon Musk needs to take that account off so I can get it.
Agreed.
Yes, sir. All right, Blake, let's get after it, man. I'm curious. I know you work for the Cowboys flagship station, but are you a fan of the Cowboys or a different NFL team?
Gotta be careful how I answer this. They might be listening. No, I'm playing. I am a fan of the Cowboys. My whole family grew up Cowboys fans, so it was pretty easy following them. But then the older you get and you realize, wow, the Cowboys are not very good at football. It makes it a little bit tougher. Now, it's not as if I had to go through what Browns fans have been through. I'm not going to take it that far where I'm like, we've almost are in the top 10 of the draft every year. But I think almost our situation's worse because the hopes get built up. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's us, the flagship station does. I don't know if it's the fans. I don't know if it's Jerry. I don't know who builds up the hype, but somehow the hype every year is built up. And even myself, when I say I'm not going to believe, then I somehow do another mock draft and I go, if you get these couple players, I'm a believer.
It's the media, man. They need that Cowboys, they need that fan base to be energized and like engaged. And if they just come in and we're like, maybe we'll make the playoffs, but we're nobody. It's hard to get like them fired up and calling in and looking at everything.
Agreed. It's like the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Warriors, the Celtics, the Knicks, like these big markets. You want them to be good. It's good for the sport. So hopefully the Cowboys, after they listen to us on this podcast, will be back to relevant.
I hope so, man. What about your sports journey, man? How'd you get from when you started to 105.3 The Fan and everything? What's your sports journey?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'll try to not make it too long for anyone listening that has no idea who I am. I'll keep it short and simple. I played sports all throughout my life. My whole family is all sports. I've had plenty of family members play at the D1 level and whatnot. And so football and basketball were the two that I was most keen to, that I was playing throughout high school. My senior year, played at Colleyville Heritage. We lost 2 games that year. Game 1 against Alvarado, or against Alito, excuse me. I said Alvarado. That's where my girlfriend's at. Against Alito, that was just so intense. If you don't know high school football, like playing in Alito, first game of the year, it felt like we were that and Allen. Those 2 games are insane. But last game of the year, we lost to Lubbock Coronado. And the reason I bring it up is because we scored 65 points in a playoff game and lost. So
wow.
If you can imagine what that felt like. So I think we still have the most wins in school history. We still hold that because we only lost 2 games that year, but went to UNT, realized, hey, I'm not 6'4", 220, probably not going to do too well at the next level. I said I enjoy talking about sports. And we had the journalism program there at UNT is amazing. And we had this thing called KNTU. And it's kind of their radio and broadcast division. And they had a thing called Sports Zone, very similar. It's like an ESPN First Take, an Undisputed, like a debate show, whatever. And we're talking about college sports, talking about pro sports, UNT. And I did it as a freshman. The lady right before I went said, hey, freshmen don't make it. That's not what we really do here. We're looking for sophomores, juniors, seniors. And then after they listened to me, they said, wow, you're going to be our first freshman. I don't know, in a couple years, a year, last year. They might have been lying to me. I don't know. Got on the show, did that. And then after a year and a half of that, COVID happened. So that was terrible. And so I kind of just took like a time off. Everyone took time off to figure out what I was going to do. And then when we got back in school session that it wasn't online, shout out to my guy, Zach Babb. He gave me a little call and said, hey, we got this podcast called The Green Guys, and we're trying to bring back, and we'd love for you to be on it. And anybody who's listening that's a 105 The Fan Tolo and knows their history, the people on the G-Bag Nation now, Eric Chiafalo and Zach Wolchuk, were the last people to do the Green Guys podcast at UNT. So I followed in their steps, did that, did a little Aubrey High School broadcast. So they partnered with us at UNT. So we did their football games, play-by-play, color commentary, which was super scary for me. I'd never done anything like that. Did that for a season. And then after all that, this is what I was sharing with Paul and Mike before the show started. Zach Babb gave me, Anthony Council, and Cullen Brown, who were working on the Aubrey stuff and the Green Guys podcast stuff, credentials. Gave us Mavs credentials. I still have it laying around here somewhere. It's super special to me. And that was when it kind of became real. He let us know, I want you to go to the game, the Mavericks game. You can go to as many as you want, as least as you want. You do not have to ask a question. You don't have to write an article. You don't have to talk to anyone. This is just so you can rub shoulders with the people and see if you want to be a journalist for the rest of your life. And I was like, cool. I went to my first game. I'm courtside. I see some people that I'd recognize from the gym, school, just other ventures. Like, hey, you look kind of familiar. I think we might know someone who knows somebody. I'm kind of chatting with them. Oh, you might know my mom, whatever it may be. And I'm talking to a student named Chris Henderson, C. Hendo. He does a lot of baseball content. He's standing right next to me. And literally, I've been in the arena maybe 10 minutes. Steph Curry walks up, Klay Thompson and Draymond daps up Chris Henderson, and then daps up me right after because I'm standing right next to him. And I said, you know what? This seems pretty cool. Went to my first press conference, asked Steve Kerr a question, asked Jason Kidd a question, and then I was like, I'm just talking to another guy, and this isn't too bad. And then I just got pretty comfortable asking Kyrie, Luka, Josh Green, whoever was there, opposing players, Giannis, Kevin Durant, Booker, and just asking them questions and just realizing you're just talking to another human. At the end of the day, you're just talking. It's just two guys talking. Keep it professional. What would you want to be asked if you were in their position? And try to go from there. And then 105 Through the Fan held their Fan Phenom contest as they do every couple of years. I didn't really know much about it. My mom, who's a huge Tolo, so shout out to her. Shout out Mama Kim. She told me, Blake, I think you would be a great opportunity to do this. I kind of took it as a joke, and I've told this to all the guys. I kind of took it as a joke. I didn't really know what it was about. Skipped the first one, not like purposely, just didn't really prioritize it. And then the second and third one, my mom begged me to go, and I went. And Gavin Spittle and Brian Broaddus talked to me after the first one. They're like, you've got the stuff. Bring a little bit more energy next time. And I could see you, winning this. I did that. Waited 3 months. Rangers won the World Series. And then I got a call from Gavin Spittle letting me know that I was a part of the Fan. And now we're here where we are. Monday through Friday, Fan After Dark, 7 to 11, about a year and a half in.
That's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
The question I have about it, though, let's see if you are a real legit journalist. The game you lost by when you scored 65 points, did you still blame the quarterback?
No, I blamed our coach, and I still blame our coach because I know I appreciate where you're going with it, but I take this very seriously. This is deeply rooted in my heart. Our coach to this day, I'll never forgive him because the guys who were playing receiver, both D1 guys, Kavon Ahmad and Cam Brown, son of Larry Brown, athletes, just 4.340s, just could do everything on the field. And I think our coach took too much advantage of that. We had a package where we would put them in to play safeties, pretty much like just putting your best players. People do it all the time in high school. Put your best players as safety, just go play catch and make sure they don't score. And they could play defense. He decided to do that for the entire game.
Oh.
So you can assume we would be great on offense. We'd score, but the next thing you know, the guy who just caught a 60-yard vertical touchdown now is to play corner against a kid who's 6'3", 220, running a glance route. And they were just, I'm not even faulting my teammates. I'm feeling bad for them. They had to go play kickoff return, receiver, and corner and safety. And it was just score. I mean, the fans probably loved it. Every 2 seconds, someone was scoring a touchdown.
No. Shoot that coach into the sun.
So, Blake, for your first media credentialed game, it sounds like you got to meet some pretty cool athletes, man. Is there an athlete on your bucket list that you've got yet to meet that's on your bucket list?
Yet to meet. I'm sure there's plenty that I've yet to meet. Josh Hamilton will be really cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
Blake Griffin. That was one of my favorite athletes growing up. So I'd probably say Blake Griffin and Tyrann Mathieu. Those were two guys I really looked up to growing up. Blake Griffin obviously being my name, Blake, and then Tyrann Mathieu, just the way he played football, the Honey Badger, him at LSU was just insane. I dyed my hair blonde because of him. I'm sure I wasn't the only kid that did that. I got the mohawk and did the blonde hair. So probably those two. Kyrie was on that list, but I've knocked that pin down. So probably those two guys.
Very cool. Awesome. I know you said you grew up in a Cowboys household. Were you a fan of the NFL first or college?
Definitely NFL first because that's what was always on. I would be lying to you if I said that college has ever really taken over the NFL as far as a love for me. I really enjoy watching these prospects and watching the film, and I love college games, of course, but there's just something about an NFL game and the way these guys are disciplined. Like, I love seeing good on good. And a lot of times in college, and until you get to like the playoffs in the last couple of weeks and championship games, you're seeing guys. It's like he's just a better athlete than that guy. Like, yes, it's great to watch, but I love seeing schemes. I love seeing stuff work where, hey, both these guys on the each side are just as fast, just as strong. Can you out scheme them? Can you outmaneuver them? Can you use your mental? And I think in college, a lot of times that's thrown out the window and it's just, hey, I'm going to throw a jump ball up to you, or I'm just a better athlete. I'm going to run you over. So That's my only gripe. I mean, it's not a gripe, but that's just the only difference in the college and NFL game, in my opinion.
I concur 1,000,000. I have the exact same thoughts. I'm a give me the pros versus the pros.
Yeah. You do get some great moments though in college because you're seeing this variance where you're seeing a team be down 25 points in the fourth quarter and the quarterback just bringing them back, throwing touchdown after touchdown that you're just not going to see in the NFL because these guys are too good.
I agree. Atmosphere in college is really nice too.
Atmosphere, give to college any day of the week.
How long have you been evaluating college players?
So I would say I've been doing this for about 3.5 years now. I would say about 3.5 years, and then doing it like super serious, probably about 1.5 years, where I'm watching, over 100 different guys. At first, it was just, watching those top 25 to 50 guys, kind of the consensus and kind of getting a feel on it. So I'm able to chat about it. And now kind of going more in depth with guys that when I go to the local bar, I'm not going to be asked about, guys in the 5th round, but I have knowledge on that and starting to get that there.
Gotcha.
This is you talk to 5 different people. They all have 5 different opinions on this draft class. Blake, who was the best prospect that you've studied in this draft class?
So this one to me is pretty easy. I know people are gonna, make it more complicated than it needs to be, but it's Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, I personally have never seen anybody like that on tape. Maybe you guys have, but I'll get the misconstrue out the way early, the quick criticism, and I'll get to the good stuff. Is he the best corner in this draft? And is he the best, or is he the best corner we've seen come out, or the best receiver come out? No. But is the way that he is able to be top 10-ish at 2 positions at a high level, I think is obviously we haven't seen that before, and that's the huge talking point with him. But I think the bigger point that we need to be talking about is the stamina that it takes, to the mental discipline that it takes to do that. It's not as if he was going out there at receiver, just, hey, go run a go route, and on defense he's playing free safety and just go get the ball. No, he is playing within the scheme. He's playing zone reads. He's understanding cloud coverage. On offense, he's understanding the gaps in the zone. And a game I'll always refer back to is that Baylor game. I think it went to overtime, or it might have been the fourth quarter, but either way, the goal line play where he makes a player fumble right at the goal line, punches it out right at the goal line, I thought was a very good testament to the kind of ball player that he is, that people love to use that criticism of can he play both ways, but you just saw it in the fourth quarter in a big time game, still making high level plays. And I'm just mentioning one. He was doing that all season. So I think Travis Hunter's the most surefire guy in this draft. I think he's one of the best guys I've seen. And I would put him at corner. I know people I highly respect, the Bruglers of the world, like everybody's kind of split on a corner receiver. So I'm not going to disagree with anybody, but I would put him at corner and then play him at receiver in different special packages, whether it be third down, goal line stuff, maybe first couple plays of a drive. But I would not limit him and throw him out there at corner, because then teams could easily just not go against him on those certain plays and realize, hey, he's the best athlete on the field, and now he's just being wasted at corner, versus playing him at corner, shutting down the side of the field, and then I'm sure if you put him in on offense, the decoy that he would be insane. Don't let him score a touchdown weeks 1 or 2 as a package player. And then week 3 comes around, he comes in the game. Defenses are now overthinking, okay, the ball is going to him. Next thing you know, your 1 and your 3 receiver are wide open at the seam.
100%. And he did it at Colorado. The thin air of Colorado, this guy was playing both ways. That is crazy to me.
Yep. And I think most people would agree that team wasn't good. I mean, you had 2 top 5 players, but outside of that, we're not really talking about anybody else on that team being a high selection.
Yeah.
A lot of people would name I wouldn't, but a lot of people would name a player on that team with this answer. But who do you think's being overrated in this draft?
Yeah, definitely people would say Shedeur. I given my thought on Shedeur on the fan. I went off for about a full segment, and to me, I have Shedeur even rated above Cam. And I think the reason people are dropping Shedeur, this is draft fatigue. This happens. I'm not surprised. I'm not mad. This happens every year. Find the most polarizing guy. Caleb Williams is a little weird just because we were like, you knew he was the guy for like 3-4 years. It was kind of hard to, you would sound not great, be like, he's going to go in the 2nd round. But we do this every year where we get draft fatigue. We've been hearing this guy's name for a while, and you want to make your mock draft buzz, and he's going to drop. Now, do I think he's a perfect prospect? No. Do I think if all the guys from last year's draft were in this draft, Shador would be the 6th or 7th best quarterback. So I think this is a very, very weak quarterback class. So we're over evaluating analysis by paralysis right now with these quarterbacks. So I think Shador has got some of the best processing speed. I think his con is he relies a little bit too much on his arm talent and a little overconfident. But if I'm going to have one or the other, a guy who's not confident, a guy who's overconfident at the quarterback position, if I'm drafting you in the top 5, I need you to be a little overconfident. I want you to believe you're the best quarterback that's ever touched grass. I don't want you second guessing yourself, just throwing checkdowns. I can get a guy in the 4th round to just throw checkdowns and get the ball to the running back. If I'm going to draft you in the top 5, top 10, I want you to believe you're the best. But the question you asked, the most overrated player in this draft, and you already know, Paul, because you listen to the fan, it's Tet McMillian. And I hate to say this because I think Brugler, everybody but Mel Kiper is mocking Tet McMillian. He's giving them Hampton every time. Is giving Tet McMillian to the Cowboys. And I want to be clear when I say this. I'm not hating on the player, and I do not think that Tet is a bad person. And I wouldn't even be mad at the Cowboys draft. That is not where I'm going at this. I just think at 12, you have to get a guy that is going to impact your team immediately. And you have to realize, what do the Cowboys have working right now and what do they need? Now, the body type of Tet McMillian fits perfectly. It's very Michael Gallup, Mike Evans, big, tall guy, possession receiver, would be awesome in theory. My problem is I think a lot of people are enjoying and eating up these mock drafts with Tet at 12 and not watching the film, and that's fine. Not everybody has to watch the film. No, not everybody has time to watch the film, so that's what we're here for. I've watched the film. I've watched every single snap from him in the last 2 years. Did he do Travis Hunter dirty in 2023? Yes. But 2024 is what I'm basing it off of, the last year that I just saw him play a full season. And half of his touchdowns came in week 1, and he blew up, and he did great. And against lower level talent, he destroys them. But when he plays against the better talent in his conference, what I saw, even against some of the lesser talent, the common theme that I saw was not separating. And that might be a personal thing to me. I like receivers that can separate. I prefer the guys that every time you're watching their highlight film, you don't even see a defender in the frame. I take that as a high compliment that you're creating so much separation. I think people love seeing on the highlights guys dunking on people, mossing people, jumping over them, and that's fun for highlights. But what was the Dallas Cowboys' huge problem? And Troy Aikman even talked about it. These guys are running lazy routes. These guys aren't getting open. And when you look at PFF and all the next-gen stats, they were bottom 5, in separation rate the entire year. And that's with CeeDee Lamb on your team. One of the best route runners, one of the best receivers in the league. And so do I need another guy that maybe doesn't have the highest motor, that I know for a fact doesn't separate well, at least at the college level? I don't know if he's going to do it better at the NFL level. Didn't run super crispy routes, but is just more athletic than people. I feel like I already have that. I got Jonathan Mingo on my team. Oh. So I now, do I think Tet's going to be better than Mingo? I do. But I'm just saying, you have that mold of a big body possession receiver that doesn't separate well. So would Tet is Tet going to be a great NFL wide receiver? I think so. But do I think he is the best fit for the Cowboys for what they need right now? I disagree. And I just think people are seeing the highlight reel and seeing the cool touchdowns and not actually watching what it takes to be an NFL wide receiver. And I look at different guys when it comes to that.
Who's your fit? Who's your fit at wide receiver for Dallas?
It's a great question. So I go back and forth with this with Brian Broaddus. I actually chatted with him on the phone this morning, trying to figure out, because he has told me, he's like, the Cowboys, they want pretty much a Tet McMillian type guy. They want that body type. If you're trying to picture in your head, if you're listening right now, as far as frame, size, they want that type of guy, a guy who's fast, does it all. The only problem is everything I just said with Tet McMillian. They don't really want another small slot type guy. So that's going to drop some guys, but I think Matthew Golden, to me, is the perfect fit. I was on this, I want to say 2 months ago, when I first started looking at the receivers, and I watched Tet and Golden back to back, and I just saw glaring differences in their game. glaring where Matthew Golden is using speed and angles to get open, and the way he gets out of his drop quickly and turns his head around to the football. I just and I will say a little bit of the mental side of it. I know we love to look at the attributes we can see on the field. I love the way Golden showed up in big games. I mean, as broad and vague as that sound, I mean, Texas played in some big football games this year, and Golden seemed to show up in every single one of those and had some of his best games. We all know about the huge play against ASU and Cam Scatterboo on the 4th down where Arch does the calls it in and has them on a little post route for the game winner. I just think those things take concentration. That's what the NFL is about. You might get the ball 3 times a game and you have to make all 3 count, and Golden seems to be the guy who would make that happen. Really crispy route runner. I really like Ibuka too. I think Zach Wolchuk on the Fan has brought up great points about Ibuka, how he's always been the 2, but been one of the best 2s we've ever seen in college. Leads Ohio State in total receiving yards ever. He was there when JSN was there. He was there right now with Jeremiah Smith. Like, he's been there with some really high level receivers, and his stature has never fallen. Where it's like, where's he at on the field? It's like he's always making plays. So I think he'd be a great running mate next to CeeDee Lamb. 12 is a little rich. 12 is a little rich in my personal opinion for all the guys we've named, all the receivers. I know Ted is mocked at 12, so some people may think differently, but I think 12 is a little rich for the Goldens, for the Ibukas, but I wouldn't be mad if they were to get them at 12. Would just love to get them around, 18 to 22.
I'm a big fan of Ibuka. I'm sorry to get the show off. I know we're getting to this mock draft. Can I tell you my issue with Golden? You
Please.
Okay, so I really like Golden. I had a first-round grade on Golden, so yeah. I'm even higher on him. I know Broadus got a second on him, like the 18th highest player or 16th highest. But my issue is in the Dak era, no matter who the OC was, if you look at routes run, hitches, stops, crossers, he'll be fine. That's what Cooks was good at. But if you watch Cooks, who is speedy, smaller, plays outside, doesn't work really well with the hitches, doesn't work really well with the stops. Does Golden fit with the routes? We threw one deep to T.Y. Hilton. We're not, other than up the seam god is Dak Prescott, but he's not like a go route guy, So does he, what do we do with him in the situation where we're doing hitches and stops, which is what you call most of the time? Does he fit that? That's my worry with him, with Golden.
I think that's a very fair question to ask, and I'll kind of go 2 different ways. My first way is with Schottenheimer being here, Dak has been very open with maybe changing some things up this offseason. So that's my kind of hope. Now, obviously, if that doesn't happen, then everything I'm about to say doesn't matter. But let's say it does, and they kind of realize, hey, we're not a hitch type team. And watching Brandon Cooks run hitches with a linebacker and a slot corner right next to him was the hardest thing to watch in person every Sunday. But they kept doing it. So hopefully there's a little bit more of a change there. I know they've talked a little bit more about doing 2 tight end sets and really believing in Schoonmaker this year. I know they talked about using Kavontae Turpin more this year. They did that 2nd round tender on him. So I think, and we know they're going to invest in the running back when we get to the mock draft. We know that they invested in the O-line, getting Scott Riley and getting some new coaches in there. K-State's coach that worked with Cooper Beebe. I'm losing his name right now. Yeah. Riley. Getting those guys in here, I think will kind of change how the offense looks. But say it doesn't, I would say it is a little bit more on Golden to adhere to what Dak would like to do. And I still like Golden as a possession receiver. I think he has a good mix of both. Like, we've seen him catch the ball, flip his hips, get up the field in big games. We've also seen him run a 10-yard curl and sit in the zone and make big catches for Quinn Ewers. So I think he is adaptable. What he's best at, is that what the Cowboys did last year? No. So I think that's a very valid point. But I'm hoping either the offense switches, and it's kind of leaning towards I think it could, or if not, I think if you're spending that high of a pick, you've done the research on Golden, you go, hey, I know this guy is adaptable to what we do. Because I can tell you for sure, with that thinking, if we're going on what Mike just said, then I definitely don't want to take Tet McMillian, because Tet does not, at least from what I watched and what I heard, he does not give me the thought process of just throw him into the offense and he'll find a way to work with whatever route you throw at him. He seems like a guy that, hey, give me the ball down the field, give me some crossers, give me some comeback routes. And if it's not that, I don't know what to tell you.
It's wild that Ibuka is like, everyone's like, just give me Ibuka. I know we'll be okay.
Yeah. He's probably the safest receiver. I think that's safe to say. He's the safest receiver. I would say that the highest ceiling is Tet McMillian. I mean, he's got the frame. And then I just like Golden is kind of that sweet spot in between both.
Sorry about that, Paul.
No worries. Good discussion there for sure. We've talked about your overrated prospect and the best prospect. Who's the prospect you think is being slept on in this class?
That's a great question. I mean, I would have said Golden, but we've already said him. So I'm gonna look at some names and I'm gonna see if there's one that comes to mind that people aren't talking about. Okay, yeah, here we go. We'll go with let's go back to Texas. Let's go to the corner, Jahdae Barron. I think I've seen him going as high as 6 to the Raiders. I've seen him as dropping to 20 in the 20s with the Steelers and the Dolphins. So I think he's kind of all over the place. I think when you talk about one corner, you kind of have to talk about both. Will Johnson, very polarizing player as well. I've seen him go in the top 10. I've seen him go late first. Will Johnson's a gambler. Will Johnson relies on his athletic traits a lot. But Will Johnson is also one of the best at college football out there. Now, obviously, since Harbaugh left, the whole Michigan team kind of had a little bit of a decline, didn't have a great year, obviously gets hurt. But Jahdae Barron, to me, the Thorpe winner, I just thought he's a guy that can play zone. Obviously, we saw him do that. I think he can play all around your defense. He can play nickel, which I feel like versatility in the secondary is so important nowadays, where he can travel with the guy. I think he can play some man. He can travel. We know that he can high point the football. He likes to tackle, which corners don't like to do it nowadays. So I think if you were to get Jahdae Barron, that would sneakily be one of the best things that you can do. And the reason being, and we'll get to when we get to the mock draft, your cornerback position is a lot scarier than people are wanting to admit. But Jahdae Barron, to me, is a very underrated, slept-on prospect that I think will be the best corner in this draft and will probably be top 5, top 10 of the position very quickly.
He's my cornerback 2 behind Hunter. So This is not me saying this. This is just Dallas fans that know Will McClay and know what Dallas likes. Do you think there's any chance that they would draft Jahdae Barron at all, like with his length and size?
Yeah, so I know the him and Will Johnson, the hand size thing, the arm length thing is always a conversation. I think both corners are very much in play at 12. I think if from the people I've talked to and kind of hearing around, I think at pick 12, I know we're kind of getting into the mock drafty part of it, but at pick 12, I would almost put a lot of money into it that a wide receiver or a corner will be taken at 12, because I think they are very much in love with Campbell and Barron. And then we saw the 30-day visits. They brought in all the top receivers. So any receiver they draft would not surprise me, but I would not be shocked at all if they pick Johnson or Barron.
I love to hear that. I'm not a Johnson guy, but
me either.
The fact that they would consider Barron is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's me. Sorry, I get on my what I want to ask. If you could pick one player in the draft to be on Dallas, who would you pick? I'm thinking realistically, obviously, we all want Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Realistically, if I could just pluck anyone and put him on the Cowboys, I think Jahdae Barron's a great shout, who we just talked about. I think he's going to be an impact player. I'm thinking about the guys we've already said. Matthew Golden would be a really good impact player. I think for me, if I could only pick one, I'm looking at my board right here and see if there's anybody. I think, can I say Siobhan Revell out of Eastern Carolina at pick 44 if he slips? I think that's a guy that had a first-round grade by everybody's estimation. We hear about the knee injury. We hear it might be a little bit more serious. Actually, the Dallas doctors are the ones that did the surgery, and if you trust anybody, it would be your own team doctors. You got some of the best here in the world. So I think if Siobhan Revell drops to the second, and there very much is a possibility he does that at pick 44, you now have to have a discussion, because I think we're all under the belief wide receiver or corner, because I think we all know Genty's going to be gone at 12. So Genty could be my answer, but Genty's going to be gone before you get to 12. If you're there at pick 44 and Siobhan Revelle Jr. is there, you're going, hey, our cornerback position, we can get a guy who's a first-round grade. Our guy did the surgery. We know what it's about. Maybe you're thinking long-term, maybe you're thinking short-term. I think you can play it however way you want to do it. Maybe you think his injury history is going to limit him and you just want him for the short term. Maybe you think it's not going to limit him and you're like, hey, we got our long-term fix at corner. Either way, I like him in general in this draft. I was contemplating getting him at 12 before, obviously started dropping with all the injury concerns and stuff. So if you get him at 44, I am not mad at that at all. And then, of course, all the guys that we already named, I think would be big gets.
Gun to my head, my 2 picks, if they made me bet, would be Tet McMillian at 12 and Siobhan Revelle. If you made me guess right now, like lock it in, that would be my 2 picks for the first 2 picks of the draft.
I would say you're a very smart man. I'd say you're very smart.
Hey, I don't hear that often. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I mean, if you ask Mel Kiper, it's Amari and Hampton or bust.
Okay, so I've said this before. From what I've heard, and I can't go into from what I've heard, Dallas would pass on Ginty at 12. This is just something that I heard.
Yeah.
Is that if Ginty got to 12, they'd pass on him because they believe that the running back, there's too many good running backs later on. And in the drafts, they do that. They set themselves up like, what can we draft now, touching tags that we can't get later on? And so when I hear Hampton, I'm like, I try to tell my boy Jay Tuck and them, like, guys, chill. Like Amari and Hampton is not going to be the guy at 12.
I would not put my eggs in the basket of Hampton at 12. I will say this though, for anyone listening and wants a little bit of hopium, if Ginty gets to 12, that is the best case scenario for the Cowboys, whether they pick him or not. If he gets to 12, that pick 12 has just become that much more tradable because I think we've all been in the draft talk circle the last couple months. Nobody wants to be in that 3 through 10 right? Everybody's trying to trade back. Nobody is like, I got to have this guy and I can't leave the draft. Everyone's like, if I could trade back, get another 1 next year or get a 2, a 4, whatever it may be, the return does not seem to be great. Ginty gets to you at 12. You now can say, hey, everyone knows you want Ginty at 12, so they're going to give you the farm for you to move off of that pick. So now you can maybe move back to 18, 19, pick up a 3, pick up a late 2, pick up a 4, whatever, maybe a next year 1, whatever y'all end up discussing. I just think that's the best case scenario, whether they draft him or not. And if they drafted him, I wouldn't be mad. You're a generational player. You got him for 5-6 years. Because that's the other part. I mean, running backs are only good for about their first contract and a half. So if you get a guy under contract for 6 years, 4 years, and then 2 years with the tag, you're getting maybe a top 10 running back under rookie contract or rookie contract for 4 years, but you're under your control for 6. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not my decision, but I'm not mad at that line of thinking.
I'm a running backs don't matter, and I'd be fine with Ginty at 12. He's a top 5 player. Like, you don't pass that up.
Yeah. It's talking about an instant impact guy. Ginty would be that type of player. So,
And it's funny because when this conversation first started, I was on the complete end of the spectrum of do not draft Ginty. You have so many holes, and I still believe that a little bit. But the more the draft went on, the more I actually watched his tape personally. I'm like, 6 years control of this guy. You need impact players everywhere. I'm not mad if you just say, hey, we got holes, but we're going to have one of the best running backs in the National Football League for 6 years, and we're going to be a run-first team. We're getting Ginty, and we'll figure out the rest later. I'm not mad at that line of thinking. I don't think he gets to you at 12, but if he did, things could get interesting.
Agreed. Running back is a hole they got to fill anyway, right?
Yep. Unless you want Javonte Williams carrying it 20 times a game.
We talk about the holes on this team, Blake. Is this Cowboys team good enough to go best player available in the early rounds, or do you think that they need to fill holes there?
I think everybody listening right now knows the answer to that question. They have to fill different holes. Now, they're going to end up being able to still do best player available because you have so many holes. So it's just going to naturally feel that way. Like, hey, they have a hole at receiver, running back, and corner. So whoever they end up picking in the first round is going to probably be the best player available at said 3 positions. I think that is how the draft needs to go. Running back, receiver, corner, mix up the order however you want. I don't care. I'm not mad at anybody. If you want to go corner first round, receiver first round, or Ginty, it's literally the only running back I'm saying, Ginty at pick 12. Other than that, I'm of the belief running back, corner, receiver and corner at pick 12, running back in round 2 or corner, in round 2, and then whoever you didn't get in round 3. One of those 3, mix it up how you want, shuffle it. They definitely cannot just go BPA, because at pick 12, you're going to have the Georgia guys there. Probably going to have Jalen Walker, Michael Williams there. Might even have a Mike Green there. Maybe you have a high thought of him as Shamar Stewart. Those athletes, those impact guys that you're going to see on Sundays on Bleacher Report with 2.5 sacks in the game. You're like, man, wish the Cowboys had them. They just don't have that luxury right now to be getting the best player available. They have to get a wide receiver too that's an impact player. They have to get a bell horse running back. They have to get an outside corner and slot corner right now. So there's just too many holes.
All right. Honestly, this might be the last question before the mock draft, because we've kind of gone over the other ones. But if there's a day 3 guy you could just pluck and put on Dallas, who's your day 3 guy that you like and would want to put on there?
Yeah, let me go to my notes, because I saw this one in there and I wanted to give y'all a name that maybe you've been thinking about, maybe you haven't been, but I think this is a guy that could be fun, at least. I want to go to both of the Michigan boys, or excuse me, not Michigan, both of the Florida boys, and I think that they could give you a really fun time over there. You need a one technique badly. So Desmond Watson, I'm sure we may have heard of him. 6'5", 464 pounds, would be the biggest player or the largest player to ever be drafted out of Florida. And you might be asking yourself, well, Blake, he probably didn't play a lot. That's a big boy to be out there. Never missed a game in his 4-year career with the Gators. Not only had 63 tackles, but I like how nimble he is for his insane 6'6" frame. He is a true run stopper, at that one tech, 36 on the bench press. That would have been the most out of anybody at the combine. He's fluid over the line. His weaknesses are pretty obvious. Limited pass rush productivity, only 1.5 career sacks. Doesn't have really an explosive first step. I'm not drafting the guy to be Micah Parsons. I'm drafting him to fix the run game. And then he obviously has the weight management concerns. Every year in college, he did see his weight increase. You're going to need your physical training or physical staff team there. But if it's a day 3 guy, and I'm getting a guy that maybe could be like a Vita Vea type guy, I am 100% taking that gamble and getting a guy like that, because at the end of the day, you need big bodies right there. And what does Desmond Watson do better than a lot of guys in college? Was just eat up double teams. If he does nothing else, it eats up double teams and frees lanes for your new linebackers. I think that's amazing. And then if you want to go Cam Jackson, his teammate at Florida, 6'6", 342 pounds, makes him seem like a little guy next to him. Either one of those guys at the one tech, I think would be awesome for Dallas on day 3. And I think both of those guys will be available if you want to. You got every compensatory pick possible.
I seen that the 464-pound dude jumped like a crazy number vertical. Like for his size, it was wild. I was like, whoa.
No, he is a little bit more of an athlete. He had a 25-inch vert.
That's for a dude that size. That's crazy.
And ran a sub 6 40-yard dash, 36 reps on the bench. Wow, I just think if he's there, you take a gamble. You're not using any of your day 2 picks on him, and I wouldn't even use the 4th rounder on him. But if you're there, round 5, late round, he's sitting there, and you go, hey, let's just take the gamble on the guy. If he doesn't make it, it's a comp pick. It's not the end of the world. And if you want to take a little bit safer, take his teammate Jackson. I just think they have to get a one tech. I would love to get Alfred Collins from Texas, but you don't have the luxury to be getting those guys in the first 2 days of the draft. So give me a little bit more of a boom or bust player.
I feel like a guy of that size would be like a training camp star.
Yeah. Oh, he'll be fun for social media. He'll be fun for the teams. I mean, anybody who's listening can look him up from Florida. He's a big boy. You'll be like, oh, yeah, I've seen his picture before.
All right, so you mentioned running back, you mentioned wide receiver, you mentioned cornerback. Is there another position you feel is a must draft for this Cowboys team?
Yeah, so those 3 are obviously the most pressing. I think I just mentioned the 4th one with one tech, defensive tackle. That one is, you're relying on Mozzie Smith. I mean, you got Osa, who's a 3 tech and play a little bit of 1. You got Solomon Thomas, who's going to be sliding over the line. But you don't really, I mean, you let go of most of those guys. You don't really have a bunch of one techs just sitting on your team that are run stuffers. And it's a little bit more of an issue than people are wanting to admit, along with corner, because it exposes other parts of your defense. When you don't have a good one tech, what does that pulling guard do now? He doesn't have to double team your one tech. He's going right to your off ball linebacker or your Mike linebacker, whoever it may be in that certain zone scheme. And now that linebacker that we are going to roast, maybe when we're watching him live, or fans like, man, our linebacker's doing nothing. He's just getting eaten up by the lineman every game. And it's like, yes, but there's a reason behind that. When your D line is not great and not creating pressure, they are now so much more free to light up your linebackers. And these linebackers are going to be in Eberflus's system, which I'm really excited for. But you got a lot of new guys it's not like all these guys that, other than Jack Sanborn, it's the only guy that's played in this system. You're going to have a lot of guys trying to figure things out. So if you're automatically having pulling guards in your face every other play, it's a lot tougher versus having a one tech that does his job, eats up that double team. You're going to have Osa, Micah, Fowler. I think you're going to have a better D-line than people are wanting to admit, but I would love a really good one tech for him and Mozzie to kind of battle it out.
I made the argument that the most impactful player that you could get in this draft would be either Derek Harmon or Kenny Grant, because if you get a guy that must be double teamed at the one technique spot, now Osa's getting less double teams, Parsons getting less double teams, Fowler's already one-on-one. You could have a unit that could make your DBs decent, even if it's Izzy, Elam, and Deron Bland, which is a nightmare scenario.
And people, I'm glad you said that, Mike. I know you're a ball knower. I already knew that before, but you just solidified it, because people don't love to admit certain things like that. They want the flashy players. I do too. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. You want the edge rushers, you want the corners. You don't want to talk about one techs and middle linebackers. But when you're watching your team on Sunday give up 200 yards every game on the ground, and you're like, why can't we got Micah Parsons? Why can't we fix this? Because it doesn't matter if you got Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett on the edge. If you ain't got a good one tech, they're running right up the middle, or running really any scheme up the middle, if you will, and just running you over. So I would love a Derek Harmon. I would love a Kenny Grant, even though he's a Michigan guy. Saying Michigan guys in the first round with the Cowboys is always a great mix. But no, I would love a Derek Harmon. His stock's going up too. I think in the media boards, not in necessarily the fan hype, but like the draft experts, you're seeing him creep up from that late second round to late first round to even like trickling in the 19s to 20s to 21. So he's a really fun player. I'd love for him to drop to 44.
I would take Harmon at 12. Derek Harmon is the player that I believe could be the best defensive player in the whole draft in 10 years. When we look back, he could be that guy. And I'd rather have a wide receiver. I want a wide receiver. But if you told me we got Derek Harmon at 12, I'd be the one dude standing on the table like, we are going to be we got a monster. Like, I love him.
And I love your thought process, Mike, and I'm there with you. It's hard because then we have to think back. What did they do prior drafting Mozzie Smith? So was that pick a failure? You've now invested in interior D-line, 2 of the last 3 years. It's just a weird thing to kind of go through with it. Like, yes, it might still be a pick you need, but I just invested in this over here. So I kind of have to see this through. So it's a weird thought process of them not drafting great players, and it messes you up. But, I cannot wait for the draft. Give it to me now. All the assumptions, all the thoughts, all the where is this player going to go? It's all going to be put to rest. We're going to get to watch it, and it'll be so fun. Real quick, are you out on Mozzie Smith? Am I out on Mozzie Smith? That's man, I thought we were going to be friendly here. Now I'm going to have to. So me and my co-host Fred, we go back and forth on which guy do you believe in more making a year 2 jump, Mozzie Smith or Jalen Tolbert? And we're both on the thought process of Mozzie Smith. Jalen Tolbert, I'm out on. He's had his opportunities. He was wide receiver 2. And if anybody mentions how many touchdowns he has, I'm sorry, that was not a good barometer of how good of a receiver he was.
He can't block. He can't. Stop putting him out there.
He can't block. He runs lazy routes. It amazes me when guys don't get a lot of playing time. Then they get the playing time, and then they still don't show the effort. Not saying he should be out the league and this and that, but I'm just saying you were about to be the wide receiver 2 on the Dallas Cowboys, prime time, do your thing, show out, and like every opportunity outside the Steelers game, I'll give him that. Every opportunity, he just kind of bleeped the bet, and it's like dude, you could have been taking over and been making yourself some more money, but you just made it where Jerry Jones, Steven, us, or wide receiver 2. You got to get somebody because that guy didn't produce last year. I mean, that was your chance to show I could be wide receiver 2. But you asked about Mozzie. They all the smart people say this. So I'll repeat what they say. Defensive linemen aren't their true self until year 3. It's going into year 3. So I'm hoping with White Cotton, with Eberflus, with a little bit more help on the D line, with a healthy Micah, with some more help in the linebacking group. DB group will wait and see. Maybe a better run game so they're not on the field as much. I'm hoping Mozzie can put it together this year. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but I'm also not saying he's not going to not be the starter. So I think he has a chance. I am rooting for Mozzie. He played better at the tail end of the year. Nobody really cared because we sucked, but he played better, especially in the run. He could get 0 sacks for the rest of his career. I could not care less. If he can play the run well, eat up double teams, that is worth it. Now, maybe not a first-round pick, but I just need him to show a little bit of worth to stay out there in that starting lineup. I'm believing on the Mozzie Smith hype train.
The last 8 games every week. Good game for Mozzie. Good game. Mozzie played well. That's how he ended the year. So now we see.
Now we see.
All right, let's get to this mock draft here at pick 12. Wide receiver, Matthew Golden out of Texas. Blake, was this best player available or a need pick here?
So this to me was a need pick, and I'm glad you asked. I took a picture of how the board fell. So at the guy I was gonna got picked at pick 6, Jahdae Barron by the Raiders, and I was using PFF. That's who picked him. Abdul Carter went next, which is crazy. I don't think he's one out of the top 5. Ahmad Mimbu from Missouri went. Tyler Warren went. Jihad Campbell went, and then Will Campbell went. So the guys on the board for me were Tet McMillian, which is we've talked about the whole pod. Walter Nolan, Malachi Starks. You're not drafting a safety at 12. Mike Green, I think, is a consideration, but like there's a lot of good edges and defensive players in general right there. But is that your biggest need, getting another edge rusher when you just paid Fowler, which is your most expensive free agent? When the opposite of him is your best player in your team and Micah Parsons. And then the other part of that, Osa, you're also your most internal expensive free agent. So your 2 most expensive free agents, one returning, and then you're about to be your highest paid player, maybe the best player of position. Am I drafting just another guy there that feels a little bit of like a luxury? And that would be BPA. They're not at that spot. So I went with a guy that I know is going to fit in this offense, and I went and got Matthew Golden. Like I said, I think I would lean Barron, but in this, I am completely fine getting Matthew Golden at pick 12.
We've talked a lot about Matthew Golden earlier, so we'll kind of skip through this. Mike, what are your thoughts on this pick? I know you're not super high on Golden. You like Golden, but
I have a first-round grade on Golden. I worry about how he fits with Dak. We all know I'm a Dak guy. I love Dak.
It's not many of those out there, so
yeah, I know. Believe me, I get called an Eagles fan because sometimes I criticize the team too much, and then I get called the biggest whatever. I'm very centric. It depends on what's going on. I go with what's going on, and I get yelled at. My worry with Golden is if we're running the hitches and the stuff that I know we've liked. I'm not blaming it on Dak. We've liked to run it while Dak's there. So I have to assume he likes these type of things. This is something he likes to run. And I worry about Golden in that situation because, like you said, I picture Cooks doing that. And I'm like, that's very similar. I also am high on Tet. I understand the concerns. I have Hunter as a corner. Tet's my wide receiver 1. Ibuka's my 2. Golden's my 3. Mm-hmm. So I would worry kind of about, I went from my first wide receiver to my 3rd. Mm-hmm. But in your range, you're looking at it as a flip of that. Mm-hmm. So I can't really, you're judging it by that. You're going, mm-hmm. Hey, I didn't reach for my wide receiver 3 with mm-hmm. Tet. Mm-hmm. I got my wide receiver 1 and the one that I thought would fit. So you can't really yell about that. Mm-hmm. I would want Tet, mm-hmm. but I understand the situation. You get a speedy guy, you get a guy that knows Texas, plays in, you get a first round guy, and what you want the offense to be as fans, what we want the offense to be, Golden fits.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure we get that offense, which scares me.
Yeah, we have to wait and see. And just my last note on Golden, I have to remind myself every time he's a little bit bigger than we think. Like he's 6'2", he's compact guy. Like he can get up and down the field. He's not a I do compare him to Brandon Cooks in my head, and then I realize Brandon Cooks is like 5'8", like 175.
Yeah,
like Golden's a bigger dude, and so I think he can maybe play in those passing lanes a little bit more, those contested catches with linebackers kind of hanging on his back. So either way, I feel pretty confident at 12 they're going Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron route with the corner, or they're going one of those receivers, whatever one, pick of the litter.
All right, here we are, pick 44. I don't think anybody's going to be mad about this pick. Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State University. Well, was this a best player available pick or a need pick for you, Blake?
So that one for me was a need pick. The guys on the board, so I'll tell you who got picked just before it. We had Jack Besh get picked, Elick Aominer from Stanford, Caleb Johnson. Well, I know my boy Broadus he's ready to pick him at 12. He loves him some Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson got picked by the Bears at 39. Tyleek Williams at Ohio State got taken. Isaiah Thomas, who funny enough is Wanye Thomas's brother out of Florida State. And then Landon Jackson, the edge out of Arkansas, who was amazing at the combine. And then Trey Amos, who is a very popular pick at 44 as well out of Mississippi. He got picked one pick before. So I very much, and I will be honest with you guys, it's so hard for me in that second round to move off those backs that I see. I go, hey, I didn't do it in round one. I've been set on Ginty. Now I realize in the last month we're not getting them. I still want a guy that shows that we are a run-first team. Are there guys in the third round? Yes. Is Devin Neal going to be there? Is RJ Harvey going to be there? Is Damian Martinez going to be there? All guys that I think would be fine in the system. Yes. But I feel like you're just kind of going in that committee kind of feel. Like if you throw Devin Neal or RJ Harvey out there, is he going to be faster than Javonte Miles Sanders? Yes. But is he going to be bounds, more athletic, and just better than them? And that's your guy, man. You're giving him 20, 25 carries a game. When you look around the league about the best running backs, I don't see that. And I think the Cowboys kind of want a guy like that. They want their version of I'm forgetting old boy from Detroit, from Texas. I'm blanking on his name.
How do I know?
Gibbs?
Jahmyr Gibbs. They want a Jahmyr Gibbs. They want a Bijan Robinson. Now, obviously, that guy is Ginty, but I think in the second round, you're still getting a guy who's going to be a high-level starter, maybe Pro Bowler. Give me either Ohio State running back. I've flip-flopped a million times. Judkins, Henderson, they are very similar. Judkins actually a little bit stronger, bigger, lower to the ground. Henderson just showing you I can be that bell cow guy. The way that they were able to split time and neither of their production really dropped and you still saw them be high-level football players, I thought was a testament to it. They could have easily, when you see them out there, kind of begrudgingly been out there. I think both guys are amazing. You tie my hands up, give me either one. I'm very happy with Henderson or Judkins. But in this particular mock, I picked Henderson.
The same person that told me to watch out on them skipping Ginty in round one said that their sweet spot is 76 for running back. But if Hampton or Henderson fell to 44, they will pick them. Yeah. They really, really like Henderson a lot.
Yeah, Henderson's, I mean, I don't really have very many bad things to say. He can catch out of the backfield, can block. Give me Travion Henderson at 44 all day. 44 to me, if we could stop here for just a second, I think is the most important and interesting pick for the Cowboys. I think 12 is just, it's just going to kind of fall in your hands. You're going to get a receiver, going to get a corner, maybe one of the top guys, maybe a D lineman falls an O lineman, whatever. We'll overreact to that pick no matter what. 44, I think, is an interesting spot where you might be able to move back a couple picks and pick up that fourth rounder. I think you have a better chance of moving back in the second round and teams wanting to get, hey, I want to double dip and get a guy. Or you may say, hey, we're going to get a high-level starter here. Do we want that to be our corner? Do we want to, Trey Amos might be there in real life, may not. Do we want Benjamin Morrison? Do we want Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky? Siobhan Revel. So now you've got all four of those guys who may, Florida State, Isaiah Thomas, they may or may not be there, but let's just say half of those guys are there. So now you have that column of people go, hey, we need a corner. We didn't get one in round one. And then you also have the belief of, we said we're going to be a run first team. We brought in all these run elements and we don't have a bell house running back or bell cow, running back. Henderson sitting there, Caleb Johnson sitting there, Judkins is sitting there, and you really need both. You really need to pick 43 and 44, and I think fans would be a lot happier. But we're living in reality. You don't. So you're going to have to make a choice right there. And whoever you don't get, I think there is going to be a little bit of a drop-off to that third round, whether that be the corner, whether that be the running back. I think there are still some good running backs at pick 76 in the third round. But I'm of the belief I'm getting a guy that I know is going to be my starter for the next 4 or 5 years and getting a Henderson, getting a Caleb Johnson, getting a Judkins. And then as much as I've been screaming and shouting about corner, I guess I just have to shut my mouth and wait till the third round.
That dude, I could just imagine, like, it is a good possibility that at 44 you could have a Jihad Campbell fall because of his injury, a Kenneth Grant fall because he's a one technique, Travion Henderson because somebody likes Caleb Johnson more, somebody likes Hampton more, and Siobhan Revell because his injury, or Morrison. And you're just sitting there with those 4 guys like,
I need all of them.
Yes, exactly. Crazy.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm glad I'm not Will McClay and Steven. I just get to sit and watch and mock and make fun of.
And you got to think about how many times the Cowboys have like swung and missed on these second round picks. Like, this is a really big one this year.
Second round is not their forte. First round, pretty good. Fourth round, they're hoping. When I was on the phone with Broadus, they're hoping they can do a CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs type draft.
Yeah.
So, like you said earlier, if you can get a Tech, Golden, Ibuka, whoever you like, at 12, and then you can get a Siobhan Revel at 44, and you get a similar that Trayvon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, a guy falling because of injury. I think fans would start to understand that. You would. That would mean you're getting the RJ Harvey, a Damian Martinez, a Devin Neal in the third round. So have to see what the temperature is on that. But you would have 2 guys I think you'd be really happy with at wide receiver and corner to pair with your guys you already got there.
Agreed. Yeah, and you mentioned a trade back. I mean, if he can trade back in the second round and just pick up a 4th, that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, because Jonathan Mingo.
That's our 4th round pick right now.
Yep.
Stop.
All right, it sounds like he's a Cowboys type. Mike, I know you like this guy quite a bit. Can you share your thoughts on him, on this pick?
Running back 2 for me. I also do this thing every year because I'm a running backs don't matter guy. I go through the draft and I say, okay, you give me your untouchable generational Zeke, and I'll find Nick Chubb. I'll find Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb to Saquon Barkley. I do it every year, and my guy this year was Travion Henderson. Also, Jaden Blue. Those are my 2 that I feel like
speedster. He's a speedster.
He just has to hold the ball, and he did better at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I think at the end, like in 5 years, you're gonna look back, and Genty's gonna be great, just like Zeke was, just like Saquon. Nobody was like they're terrible, but there was a Nick Chubb. There was the first year of Bijan. Devon A-Chain was a better running back year 1. So that always something like that happens. And my guess is Travion Henderson, if you made me pick one, I think it's going to be Genty. But Travion Henderson would be this is going to be the best running back out of the class guy. So that's an A+ at 44.
Let's do it. Shout out PFF for letting him be available at 44.
Here we are at pick 76. Cornerback Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. Talk to us about this guy, Blake.
No, I don't feel great about this one as far as the value you're getting for him. I would love him a little bit later in the third, but this was very much just a need pick because I am of the belief, like I said, running back, wide receiver, corner, flip the scenarios, whatever you want to do. I like Kobe Bryant because he does have ball skills. He is able to track the ball. Now, does he have great top-end speed? Can he flip his hips and run down the field with the fastest receivers in football? Probably not. That is not his forte. He is good just making plays on the ball, kind of playing in that cover 2 cloud, kind of sitting in those zones, jumping routes. I think him and his corner Mello Dotson, like led in interceptions. Those guys are ball hawks, but it's just in the NFL, ball hawking, you can get caught. We saw that with Trayvon Diggs, his best and worst trait. So do you want to pair that with a bunch of ball hawks? I don't know, but I still like his game, and I still like the player you're getting. So at 76, I said we need a corner, but I could easily be persuaded out of Kobe Bryant.
So I'm going to ask you guys, I'll go off script here for a minute. Mike, I'll ask you first, and then Blake, of course, you. But you look at this draft on day 3, do you think you can find a good corner, or if you don't get one in the first 2 rounds, it's like maybe you should just wait till free agency?
It is tough. I was just going to read some of the guys that were there, and then I want to hear what you got to say, Mike. So for corners, Noel Williams from Cal was there, and then Melo Dotson and Kobe Bryant were the top 3 rated corners that were sitting there at that time. So
no Riley. Riley didn't make it.
Quincy Riley from Louisville was there.
Okay, I like him if you're a slot. You know, if you don't mind getting more of a. It's like I like Kobe. So not just because I'm a Lakers fan. His take is not bad. And the thing is a lot of his issues could be negated by the type of defense that Eberflus plays. And Eberflus likes guys that turn the ball over.
Yep.
So I think it's a guy, like you said, that you'd prefer to get a little bit later in the third. I have a 3rd round grade on him. But I think in the right system, you go 3rd round pick's a good pick. And I think he fits that. The worry now is he's going to play outside, in my opinion. Yeah. And so you got to figure out what you're going to do at nickel, you know. But
so I was on the phone with Broadus and I said, do you think there's any chance that Wanye or Izzy get some slot corner work? And I honestly was almost asking it rhetorically because I feel like I thought I knew. He said, that's not what I'm hearing. He said, I don't think either of those guys are going to be getting some slot roles this year. I don't know if they haven't been practicing well with it, but it's not looking like those guys are the leader in the clubhouse for that. So you're looking at a Kalen Carson. We know Elam plays outside. Hopefully Elam's just a depth piece. I have no idea what they're going to do at slot right now. I really don't. Like, they have 2 big holes at corner because I don't want Kalen Carson and Elam starting for me in 2025. And if you weren't to draft a corner, that's what would happen right now.
I don't get Mike Hilton. And he fits Eberflus like he's a linebacker. He plays the run like a linebacker. Like, just sign him to some minimum deal, and you got a slot corner.
Yeah, Mike Hilton. I like Asante Samuel if you want to take a swing at a younger guy that's is an athlete in the ball hawk. Like, there's some guys out there that could make this draft a little bit easier for you. We're like, hey, if the guy we don't like isn't there, we've got this guy. We're going to develop Carson. Yada yada yada. You can sell me on that idea, but just Elam and Carson after the year, and this is our corners, that's tough.
Should have never gave him the seatbelt nickname. Now the Joneses know they can sell it.
Yeah, shout out to Patrick Walker. He had me hyped for game 1 against Cleveland. And he played well. He played well game 1, and then after that was the biggest loss of the Cowboys offseason, though, was losing Jordan Lewis. That was the biggest loss of the offseason. And even when Osa was about to leave, I still would have been in the same belief. Osa, I think, is maybe a better player, but I just think impact of your team losing Jordan Lewis, he was maybe your best player defensively week 1 to week 17. If you're just talking consistency, you knew at the slot position you were getting professionalism, you knew you were getting good technique, and he was making plays, and every game it felt like he got better because the year before, not the year 1 that just happened, but the one before that, 2023, he was getting slandered heavily, myself included. And then I want to say it was like that Carolina game. He got ate up by Adam Thielen. Everyone was slandering him, and then he turned up the last part of the season. Then had a great 2024 and just got him paid. And losing him and not really replacing him has been a tough part of the offseason for me.
I don't shill for our players. Like, I was like, Lamar Jackson's MVP, that's fine. You know, Micah Parsons is a defensive player of the year. It's this guy. Like, I don't do it. Jordan Lewis should have been an all-pro. They don't factor in nickel. Like, and he should have been an all-pro last year, period. He just should have been.
Ask George Pickens about Jordan Lewis.
Yep.
For real.
All right, Mike, you kind of shared your thoughts there on Kobe Bryant. It sounds like he might also be a Cowboys type when you think about him at Eberflus's defense as well, yes?
Yes, correct. He would be. He would. Yeah. I could absolutely see that being a pick at 76.
I like Eberflus's defense. You're obviously going to be running that 4-3, which means your linebackers got to be quick. So that's a little thing I'm a little weary of. But I think Kobe Bryant would be a good fit, like Mike said, to that system, being a ball hawk, understanding the different zones that you're going to be running. We know he likes to run man as well. So give me Kobe Bryant. Give me a guy that's going to be making plays all over the field, turning the ball over. Would have loved to get Jahdae Barron at 12, but he wasn't there. So give me Kobe. Let's go KU. Rock chalk.
All right, we filled wide receiver, running back, and cornerback. It sounds like you still think we need a one tech after these first 3 picks, though. Yes, Blake?
Yes, sir. Give me the big boys from Florida. We need a 1 tech. I need a Mike. I need a Mozzie Smith backup, maybe a starter over him. So at least somebody to compete that's just eating up double teams. I mean, if us 3 want to put some pillows together and get out there, that's fine as well. I just need someone to eat up a double team so my linebackers aren't getting killed every game.
If you
All right, Mike,
get that, God, man, sorry.
Mike, what changes, if any, would you make, sir?
I mean, I'm gonna go Tet. This is the thing. People get online and they're, oh, you're dumb. I don't do all that. People watch the stuff. If you do the work and watch the stuff, what's the point of getting mad at somebody because they have a different opinion? I have them both as first round grades.
That's the fun part about this.
Yeah, I'm not sitting there going, oh, that's dumb. How can you pick this guy over that? No, but Golden totally makes sense. First round player, brings speed, has good size, could run crossers and break tackles and get away from guys and make big plays. He fits. Just because I go, I'd want Tet, I have him rated higher. That doesn't mean
that would be kind of boring if we all thought the same. Wouldn't imagine every mock draft came out and it all looked the same.
Yes.
We'd be like,
oh
okay.
Yes, exactly. So changes wise, that would be it. Second round, I have no issues. That's an A+ pick. I would love that. Everybody knows my dream is to get Kenneth Grant because or Derek Harmon's not falling. Neither is Kenneth Grant. But if we could get a guy, I think he could be the most impactful things we could get is a wide receiver and then a one technique, because I think the defensive line, I think a one technique might help the passing game more than a corner, because no matter who you get at corner, you're going to have a hole at corner until we know what's up with Diggs. Yeah. So I would like to get a one technique just to have a defensive line that's unstoppable, monster. But Mozzie played well. So getting one and being like, oh, you're going to put him in there, like, it's like the offensive line. It's hard to argue for it when it's like, man, we have so many holes everywhere else. So, yeah, I think Henderson, I like Kobe Bryant III. You needed a corner. You got a good one. You got a good value there, and it fits the system. So we disagree on which wide receiver to get. We still we got the same 3 picks. Yep. Just one receiver is different.
And honestly, if you want to swap them around, running back, corner, wide receiver, I would say I'll ask you guys this. I think we're all in the same thought process. You can kind of swap them around. Third round, what position can you not get? Because I don't know if I need another third round wide receiver. No, because at that point, you're just adding another Jalen Tolbert. You're just adding another Mingo. You're just adding another Flournoy. Like, we have guys like that. The only reason you need a receiver is not because of depth. It's because I need a playmaker. So you almost have to use those.
You got 4 options at receiver.
Yeah.
Tet, Ibuka, Golden, and Burden.
And that's it.
Get one of those 4. You have your wide receiver 2. You're locked in.
Yeah.
I really like Ao. I said Ao Manor. How do you say it?
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like him, but even he's not walking in and you're going, oh, he's above Tolbert.
Yeah.
They're not going to see it that way. You need to get one of those 4.
Yeah. I am in the same thought process. You have to get one of those 4 because you need an impact wide receiver 2. Running back and corner, you can kind of sway me of. I think you need a guy that's a running back, but it's almost your biggest need is corner. It's weird. It's a weird dichotomy right now where the Cowboys are at. It's gonna be interesting how draft day goes.
It's gonna be great.
All right, Mike, grade the draft.
All right, so I'm gonna give Golden a B+ because Tet would be an A. I'm giving Henderson an A+. And I think Kobe Bryant's a solid B, right? Fits things. So if you go through that, you're looking at a B+ right there.
Yeah,
I'll take it. B+ for Blake.
We'll go A. We can even do A-. Just
no, it's fine. I need to stay humble because that's how you get better. B+, B for Blake, and we're locking it in.
B+. I like it, man. That's that. Hey, nobody's gonna be mad if you come away with that at the draft. No,
I think that'd be a good. And I'm sneaking in some D linemen in day 3.
Yeah,
that's how you do it, man.
Yeah, we got our one technique later.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we are with one word, Blake. If Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland play 12 games together, the Cowboys defense will be blank in 2025.
If they only play 12 games, they will be mid. I think both of these guys are awesome, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I don't want to say their best football from Diggs is behind them, but I haven't seen Diggs become a new football player. I haven't seen him reinvent himself. So I need to see him. Last year was not a good mark of him not wanting to tackle. I need to see a guy that wants to tackle. And that was the biggest thing that pointed out for me. He did not want to tackle football players last year. So Deron Bland, I think, has kind of reinvented himself as more of a shutdown corner, not ball hawking and not taking gambles. Diggs, I didn't see that. And coming off of an injury, so that's another reason I want to fix that in the draft. So I would just say mid. I think they got to kind of retool their cornerback room. You're hoping Carson can step up, but I'm not that high on Diggs as maybe most.
If you don't tackle for Eberflus, your defense is going to be hurting.
Yep,
the corner's got to tackle.
All right, I kind of feel like I know where you might go here, but would you rather draft Tet McMillian at pick 12 or trade back, acquire a second and a fourth, but not draft a receiver until day 3?
See, I'm just gonna keep it short because we'll be here for 30 minutes. Give me trade back, but I hate that I have to wait till day 3. But I might have to get out there and play wide receiver at that point. But yeah, I'm of the belief, even if you love Tet, don't love Tet, if you can trade back and acquire picks in this kind of draft, I think that makes sense. I think we would all like to acquire another pick, and you're getting more into the bunch of those top 20 to 80 players rather than having one guy in the top 12. So.
Yes, sir. Well, man, Blake, thank you so much for your time, man. Before we get you out of here, I mentioned your show on the radio Monday through Friday from 7 to 11. I know you also do some shows on Saturday. Outside of that, do you have any content that we can look for, and where can we find it?
Yeah, so at Blake Live __ that's on Instagram and that's on X/Twitter. I think me and my boy Freddie D are gonna fire up this podcast since the Ranger season's happening right now. We're not on as much. So if you're tuning on your radio and you're like, where's Blake? I thought you said Monday through Friday. Well, the Texas Rangers are playing a baseball game. They go on over us. We are the sponsor of them, the radio home of them. So they were going to start up this podcast. And if you're following my Instagram, I think I might start doing some improv shows at Dallas Comedy Club. So if you want to laugh at me and Fred on the come up of that, Blake Live __ on all social media. And I appreciate.
Does the podcast have a name yet?
You got to follow me on Instagram to find it.
Oh, okay. I like that. That. Mike, where can we find you on X, sir?
CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy. No underscores or all that hard stuff. CD Piglet.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul _Ryan15. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you guys next week.